7 actors. Gay Raymond Burr, hated with a passion. Raymond Burr was born Raymond William Stacey Burr on May 21, 1917, in New Westminster, British Columbia. Burr's early life was marked by struggle and responsibility. After his parents divorced when he was a child, he moved with his mother to Vallejo, California, where he worked odd jobs to help support the family. These early challenges helped shape his stoic resilience, a trait that would become central to many of his most famous roles. Before entering the world of acting, Burr had a varied and colorful career. He worked as a ranch hand, a photo salesman, and even served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. Although some of the details about his wartime service have been subject to debate due to conflicting records. His real passion, however, was always performance. He studied at the Pasadena Playhouse, a renowned acting school that produced some of the biggest stars of the era. His talent quickly stood out, and he began appearing in stage productions, gradually making his way into radio and then to Hollywood. In the late 1940s and 1950s, Burr became a familiar face in film noir and crime dramas. He often portrayed villains or authority figures, commanding attention with his imposing stature and intense demeanor. Notable film appearances during this period include Rear Window, 1954, where he played the sinister Lars Thorwald in Alfred Hitchcock's suspense classic, and A Place in the Sun, 1951, where he appeared opposite Montgomery Clift. These roles showcased his ability to evoke both menace and complexity, carving out a niche for him as a compelling screen presence. Burr's greatest fame came in 1957 when he was cast as the lead in the legal drama Perry Mason. His portrayal of the brilliant, incorruptible defense attorney became one of television's most iconic roles. The series, which ran for 9 seasons until 1966, was groundbreaking in its depiction of courtroom drama and helped define the legal procedural genre. Burr's Mason was a figure of quiet strength and moral clarity, always seeking the truth and fighting for justice. His performance won him 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series and left an indelible mark on popular culture. Even decades later, reruns of Perry Mason continued to draw audiences and influence aspiring lawyers and actors alike. Following the end of Perry Mason, Burr continued to find success on television. In 1967, he took on a new leading role in Ironside, playing wheelchair-bound police consultant Robert T. Ironside. The series, which ran for 8 seasons, broke new ground by portraying a disabled protagonist who remained intellectually and emotionally powerful. Burr's portrayal was compassionate and dignified, challenging stereotypes and broadening the scope of what a TV hero could be. His commitment to the role was so deep that he worked with disability advocates to ensure a respectful and accurate representation. Beyond his career, Raymond Burr was known for his generosity and humanitarian work. He supported numerous charities, including those focused on education, children's health, and conservation. A passionate horticulturist and vintner, he owned an orchid business and a vineyard in Sonoma County, California. Burr also had a strong commitment to privacy, keeping much of his personal life out of the public eye. This discretion extended to his decades-long partnership with Robert Benavides, a former actor and close companion with whom he shared a deep bond. Together, they nurtured their shared interests in horticulture, travel, and philanthropy, building a life of quiet fulfillment and mutual respect. Despite battling serious illness later in life, Burr remained active in his career. In the 1980s and early 1990s, he reprised his role as Perry Mason in a successful series of made-for-TV movies, further solidifying the character's legacy and reconnecting with longtime fans. He also continued to make appearances in documentaries, television specials, and public events, never losing his warmth or professionalism. Raymond Burr's brief marriage to actress Isabella Ward marked a fascinating yet little-discussed chapter in his early personal life. The two first crossed paths in 1943 during a formative period for both. At the time, Ward was a young student at the prestigious Pasadena Playhouse, a renowned theater school in California that had launched the careers of numerous future stars. Burr, already an established presence there, was working as an instructor and mentor to aspiring performers. Their initial meeting laid the groundwork for a connection that would resurface several years later. In 1947, Ward, then affiliated with a traveling theater company, returned to California. Her renewed acquaintance with Burr quickly evolved into a romantic relationship, leading to their marriage on January 10, 1948. The couple tied the knot just as Burr was preparing to begin work on the 1948 film Noir Pitfall, a movie that would help solidify his growing reputation in Hollywood. Despite this professional momentum, the union itself was fleeting. That same year, Burr and Ward shared the stage in a Pasadena Playhouse production based on the life of French artist Paul Gauguin. This performance highlighted their mutual love for the dramatic arts, and for a brief time, it seemed that their shared creative pursuits might strengthen their bond. However, the realities of their domestic situation soon set in. After marrying, Burr and Ward settled into a basement apartment in a sprawling Hollywood residence that Burr shared with his mother and grandparents. The unconventional living arrangement, coupled with the intensity of Burr's career and family obligations, likely placed strain on their nascent marriage. Within just a few months, the relationship had begun to unravel. Ward ultimately returned to her native Delaware, seeking solace and familiarity away from the pressures of Hollywood. Their separation grew into a permanent divide, and although the official divorce did not take place until 1952, the marriage had in effect ended long before then. Neither Burr nor Ward ever remarried, and while they both went on to live full lives, they did so separately. Ward, for her part, later reflected on their relationship with a mixture of fondness and realism, acknowledging the challenges of sustaining a marriage in the whirlwind of Hollywood life. Years later, in 1960, Burr would meet the man who would become his closest and most enduring companion. While working on the set of the television drama Perry Mason, Burr was introduced to Robert Benavides, a fellow actor with a keen interest in the arts and a quiet charisma that seemed to complement Burr's commanding presence. Their connection was immediate and profound, developing into a partnership that would span more than 3 decades. By 1963, Benavides had chosen to step away from acting altogether, a decision that coincided with his deepening involvement in Burr's professional and personal life. Instead of pursuing his own career in front of the camera, Benavides shifted to working behind the scenes, becoming a trusted production consultant on Perry Mason and later taking on the same role for 21 of the highly successful Perry Mason TV movies produced in the 1980s and early 1990s. Beyond Hollywood, Burr and Benavides built a rich and multifaceted life together, one grounded in a mutual passion for horticulture, business, and quiet rural living. They founded and operated a flourishing orchid business, which became a source of both income and joy. Their shared love for nature eventually led them to purchase a scenic property in California's Dry Creek Valley, where they established a vineyard. The couple immersed themselves in the craft of winemaking and the daily operations of managing a vineyard, creating a life far removed from the bright lights of Hollywood. Their partnership, while deeply committed and widely recognized among those close to them, was never publicly acknowledged during Burr's lifetime due to the conservative and often unforgiving nature of the entertainment industry during the mid-20th century. Nevertheless, the bond they shared was unmistakable and enduring. When Burr passed away in 1993, it was Benavides who had stood by his side through years of professional triumphs, personal losses, and health challenges. Burr bequeathed his entire estate to Benavides, a gesture that spoke volumes about the depth of their relationship and the trust and love that had defined it. In the years following Burr's death, Benavides honored his legacy in a number of ways. though not without controversy. He renamed the Dry Creek Valley property Raymond Burr Vineyards, turning their private retreat into a commercial winery. Some reports suggest that Burr had expressly wished the vineyard not be used as a public tribute, preferring a quiet legacy. Nevertheless, Benavides believed in sharing Burr's memory with fans and wine enthusiasts alike, creating a destination that combined the actor's name with the couple's shared passion for the land. The vineyard operated successfully for years, before eventually being sold in 2017, marking the end of a deeply personal chapter in the lives of two men who had shared so much, yet had to keep much of it private during their lifetimes. Although Raymond Burr maintained a dignified and professional public image throughout his long Hollywood career, behind the scenes, he was known to have harbored strong feelings, sometimes bordering on outright hostility, toward a select few of his peers in the industry. Burr, a deeply private man who carefully guarded his personal life and sexuality during a time of rampant homophobia in Hollywood, often found himself clashing with actors who either disrespected him, threatened his position in the industry, or whose personalities were simply incompatible with his own disciplined and often aloof demeanor. 1. Robert Young, best known for Father Knows Best and Marcus Welby, M.D., Young reportedly got under Burr's skin due to his condescending behavior on set and his tendency to dominate conversations. Burr, who valued humility and professionalism, viewed Young's self-importance and unwillingness to acknowledge other actors' contributions as both irritating and disrespectful. Burr once referred to Young in a private letter as a man who believes his own press too much, indicating a deep and long-held disdain. 2. George Nader. Ironically, Nader was a fellow gay actor, and their shared secret might have been expected to create a bond. However, Burr viewed Nader as a competitor, particularly in the mid-1950s, when both were fighting for strong, masculine leading roles. Burr is said to have resented Nader's rising popularity at Universal, and the two were rumored to have had tense encounters at industry events, with Burr allegedly calling Nader a charmer with no soul. 3. William Talman, Burr's co-star on Perry Mason, who played the prosecuting attorney Hamilton Burger, had a complicated relationship with Burr. While they were civil on screen and shared great on-screen chemistry, off-screen Burr reportedly distrusted Talman due to the latter's loose lifestyle and scandal-plagued past. Talman was arrested in 1960 during a police raid for alleged indecency, something Burr, who feared exposure and scandal, reportedly found reckless and dangerous for the entire production. 4. Charles Boyer. Burr had worked with Boyer early in his career and reportedly found the French actor's aristocratic airs and theatrical affectations intolerable. Burr, a self-made actor who had overcome weight issues and typecasting, believed that Boyer looked down on American TV actors. Burr once allegedly remarked, "He walks through a room as if it's beneath him. I don't respect that." 5. Adam West. Burr had no patience for actors he considered unserious or gimmicky, and West, famous for his campy portrayal of Batman in the 1960s, represented everything Burr disliked about the direction television was heading. Burr, who held acting and dramatic storytelling in high regard, is said to have scoffed at West's popularity, once saying that TV wasn't about capes and catchphrases when I started. 6. Ephraim Zimbalist, Jr. Although both actors were part of the Warner Brothers television family, Burr reportedly felt that Zimbalist, the star of the FBI, was given preferential treatment by the studio. Burr, who had struggled for years to get meaningful roles, believed Zimbalist's success came too easily. Their relationship was strained by network politics and a lack of mutual respect, with Burr reportedly calling Zimbalist more image than substance. 7. John Forsythe, best remembered for Dynasty and Charlie's Angels, Forsythe embodied the suave, polished persona Burr seemed to bristle at. According to some crew members, Burr resented Forsythe's charisma and ease in social situations, interpreting it as manipulative. Burr was uncomfortable around actors who relied on charm over depth, and he believed Forsythe's success owed more to connections and grooming than genuine talent. Despite these personal and professional tensions, Burr remained outwardly courteous. However, those close to him, including his longtime partner Robert Benavides, understood that Burr's animosities were not fleeting. They were often rooted in betrayals, perceived slights, or clashes in values. For a man who had to hide so much of his life from public view, those he could not respect or trust were not easily forgiven and never forgotten. During the spring of 1993, while Raymond Burr was in the midst of filming his final Perry Mason television movie, a role that had become synonymous with his name over several decades, he began to experience serious health issues that soon became impossible to ignore. Those closest to Burr and the production team noticed subtle changes in his physical condition and stamina, which raised concerns about his well-being. Initially, the specific nature of his illness was not publicly disclosed, but it was clear to those around him that he was struggling. Burr had always been known for his professional dedication and resilience, often pushing through challenges to maintain the quality and integrity of his performances. However, this time, the health setbacks were severe enough to impact his work. A spokesperson for Viacom, the company overseeing the Perry Mason projects at that time, issued a statement to the media acknowledging Burr's illness. They cautiously suggested that his condition might be related to a renal cell carcinoma, an aggressive and malignant form of kidney cancer, that Burr had undergone surgery for earlier that year in February. This revelation came as a shock to fans and colleagues alike, as Burr had maintained a relatively private personal life and had not widely disclosed the seriousness of his medical situation. Renal cell carcinoma is known for its potential to be insidious, often remaining undetected until it has progressed significantly, making Burr's diagnosis particularly difficult. Following the initial surgery to remove the kidney tumor, medical evaluations revealed a more grim prognosis. Unfortunately, it was determined that the cancer had metastasized, spreading beyond the kidney to Burr's liver. At this advanced stage, the cancer was deemed inoperable, meaning that surgical intervention could no longer provide a curative option or meaningful control of the disease. This diagnosis represented a devastating blow for Burr and those around him, as the options for treatment were limited and the progression of the disease posed a serious threat to his life. Despite the dire prognosis, Raymond Burr faced his situation with remarkable courage and grace. Understanding the limited time he had left, Burr chose to spend his remaining months surrounded by close friends, family, and loved ones. In a poignant series of events, he hosted multiple goodbye parties, intimate gatherings that allowed him to celebrate life, share memories, and express gratitude to those who had supported him throughout his remarkable career and personal journey. These farewell moments were bittersweet, reflecting both the deep affection others had for him and the inevitability of his passing. Raymond Burr passed away peacefully on September 12, 1993, at the age of 76, at his ranch in Sonoma County near Healdsburg, California. His home there was not just a place of residence, but a sanctuary where he found solace in his final days, surrounded by the natural beauty of the region he loved. Burr's death marked the end of an era for television and film, as he was not only an iconic actor who defined legal drama through Perry Mason, but also a beloved figure admired for his professionalism, humility, and kindness. His passing was mourned deeply by fans worldwide, colleagues, and the entertainment industry at large, cementing his legacy as one of the most enduring and respected actors of his generation.